Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Disco Kitty, the Crappy Crafter. Today we're going to be doing another Amazon Vine review, but this time we're going to be working with one that's a little bit more in my comfort zone. We're going to be working with resin. That's resin. Pre-colored black resin. I use a lot of black resin, so I'm really excited about it. Let's just get right into it. Alright, let's mix up some resin. Putting in the hardener first, and then the resin. I find it amusing because the resin just creates a perfect little ball inside the hardener. You don't notice it when it's, clear, but you can really see it when it's black. Remember to mix it really well. You're not going to be able to see the striations, the little wavy lines that mean that it's not fully stirred. So you're going to have to do it by the time, and you're going to have to do it at least 3 minutes, at least, in a nice warm water bath, if you can. Now I'm going to write down which pigments I'm going to put into which rune stones. I figured I've wanted to make some rune stones for a while, so, we'll try it. So this is the Let's Resin black resin. And this stuff pours really nicely. I mean, it's resin. It's just pre-colored 2-part 1-to-1 epoxy resin that just works really, it just works. It's just resin. It's just black. I like it. But we're going to compare it to a whole bunch of other pigments. Lots and lots of pigments. So we're gonna use up the last of my cheap resin. It's the T-Expert or T-Expert or Texpert, or I have no idea how to pronounce it. I'm gonna say T-Expert. T-Expert, I don't know. Anyways, so we're going to divide it up into 6 little cups because we're going to use 6 different pigments. The first one is going to be Sophie and Toffee Morandi Black, and then Sophie and Toffee Alcohol, and then a Sophie and Toffee pigment, but it doesn't actually say what it is, a Let's Resin Alcohol, a resin dye, I assume that it's an alcohol, and then we're going to use just a cheap black powder. Mica powder, sorry. We're going to mix them all up. We're going to pour them all in, and it's going to be fairly straightforward. They're looking good so far. It's hard to see how opaque they are, except for this one. This one is really not opaque. I imagine I just didn't stir it well enough, or shake it well enough. Now I'm going to use a skewer to try to get rid of any bubbles in the corners and the edges, and that's gonna absolutely fail horribly because they're still gonna be covered in little bubbles, and that's okay.
The next day.
So now that they're all cured, I did not cook them. I just let them sit organically, as it were. So yeah, that one works really well. That's the Let's Resin black resin. And then the next up is the Sophie and Toffee Morandi pigment, which is honestly really the only thing that is as good as that black resin. Next up is the Sophie and Toffee alcohol ink. You can definitely tell that one was colored by using a lot of blue. The next up is the Sophie and Toffee pigment that says it's transparent on the bottle. So good on it. You can tell it's supposed to be like that. Next up is a Let's Resin alcohol ink. And that works pretty well. You can definitely tell that it's blue. It's just a really dark blue. And then the resin dye ink, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure it's an alcohol ink, but oh, look at all the bubbles. Just look at I don't like this resin. It's super cheap though, so I might get it again. Who knows? And last but not least is a pigment powder, which look, you can still see light through the pigment powder. I was surprised. So yeah, we're gonna go through and we're gonna show each one side by side. so that you can have a visual of what the bottles look like. And yay, that's it. It came out really, really well. I'm super impressed. Well, that worked really, really well. I'm very pleased with the results of these. So we show ya. So, you know, it doesn't show up. It doesn't. It's so nice. So that was the resin. And then this was one of the pigments. And another the pigments, and these are it's probably not going to show up too well. Oh yeah, there we go. This one was labeled as transparent, so yay, it's transparent like supposed to be. But this one's a little bit transparent. It's an alcohol ink, go figure. This one is super, like, where is even the color? Where is even the color? And then of course the last one I used pigment powders. So that should be the darkest out of all of them. But yeah, I think it worked out really, really well. Totally worth it if you use a lot of black resin. I highly recommend it. Go get it. The price is reasonable. I just appreciate pre-colored resins. Now, if they come out with a white one, it's actually a really good solid white, because white in anything, paints, pigments, powders, white is so hard to make truly saturated and you know, not let light through. And it's just all of my white paints are so thin. I you know, when I make white resin, I have to like load it up with pigments, usually powders. Powders are the best way to make it opaque. But yeah, so if they come out with a white one, I will be all over that. But I really appreciate the black. I use a lot of black, you know, like especially right now with I'm making cat butts like this, you know, so they're black or like this. So I use a lot of black. I do. And this, super handy. Love it. I'm gonna give it 5 on 5 stars because I really appreciate it. So yeah, go get some, use it yourself, and love it. So I'll see you next week. Stay safe.